Imagine a world on the brink of a scientific revolution. It's the beginning of the 20th century. Humanity is only starting to uncover the laws of quantum mechanics, the structure of the atom, and the nature of time. Electricity and magnetism are being unified under new theories, and our understanding of the cosmos is rapidly shifting. Amidst this surge of knowledge, one man emerges whose thoughts would forever reshape not only our understanding of the universe, but the way we think about reality itself. His name is Albert Einstein. But today, we're not going to dive into the mathematics of his famous equation, E equals mc squared, nor get lost in the fabric of space-time from his theory of relativity. Instead, we'll take a more human journey. What did Einstein really think about God? Did he believe in a higher power? Did he recognize any form of religion? Was he a spiritual man despite his scientific mind? And why do his thoughts on faith and philosophy continue to spark debate even decades after his death? To answer these questions, we need to go back to Einstein's beginnings, his childhood, education, influences, and the evolution of his worldview. We'll explore his writings, interviews, personal letters, and encounters with philosophers, clergy, and scientists to piece together a more nuanced picture of what God meant to him. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, in the Kingdom of Württemberg in the German Empire. He was raised in a secular Jewish family. His parents, Hermann and Pauline Einstein, were not particularly religious. Still, they respected tradition, and young Albert received a form of Jewish religious instruction. From the age of 5 to 12, Einstein was remarkably devout. He observed religious laws, sang hymns, and even created his own spiritual songs. He described this period as one of deep spiritual feeling. Yet something changed dramatically around the age of 12. He began to read widely on his own, including books on science, mathematics, and philosophy. One book on Euclidean geometry struck him deeply. It opened his eyes to a world governed by logical principles, independent of religious authority. It was in this moment, he later said, that he began to question the literal truth of religious stories and the dogmatic teachings he had accepted without question. I gradually lost my religious faith when I realized that much of what I had been taught was not true, he wrote. As he grew into adulthood, Einstein moved further from traditional religion. He became critical of organized religion and supernatural beliefs. He did not believe in a God who intervened in human affairs, who listened to prayers, or who performed miracles. To him, these ideas were remnants of a less enlightened age, useful for comforting people perhaps, but not rooted in truth. Yet, contrary to what some may assume, Einstein did not consider himself an atheist. He consistently rejected that label. He saw atheism, especially militant atheism, as just another form of dogma. In fact, he criticized both blind faith and aggressive skepticism. Einstein's concept of God was deeply influenced by Baruch Spinoza, the 17th century Dutch Jewish philosopher. Spinoza equated God with nature and its laws, a divine principle expressed through the order and logic of the universe. Einstein repeatedly said, "I believe in Spinoza's God who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists." For Einstein, the laws of nature were not just rules. They were expressions of something sublime. The more we understood the cosmos, the more we came into contact with something grand and mysterious. This led him to speak often of a cosmic religious feeling, a spiritual awe inspired not by dogma or scriptures, but by the vastness, complexity, and beauty of the universe. He wrote, "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science." To Einstein, science was not cold and mechanical. It was a deeply human pursuit, driven by curiosity, wonder, and humility. He believed that anyone who lost the ability to feel awe, whether at the structure of an atom or the motion of galaxies, was missing something essential about what it means to be human. Even in later life, as his fame grew and people from all corners of the world wrote to him asking about his beliefs, Einstein remained careful in how he used the term God. To many religious leaders, this was frustrating. They wanted to claim him as one of their own. But Einstein resisted this. His God was not a person, not a judge, and not a father figure. His God did not reward or punish. Instead, Einstein's God was the sum total of natural law, the intelligence and elegance found in the fabric of the cosmos. Einstein's reverence for the universe went hand in hand with his reflections on ethics and human values. He believed that a deep appreciation for the structure of reality could foster humility and compassion. He once wrote, "A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness." This profound sense of interconnectedness, he believed, should be the foundation of our moral compass. His thoughts on religion were not static either. They evolved throughout his life as he encountered new ideas, people, and political realities. During the rise of fascism in Europe, Einstein witnessed firsthand how ideologies, religious or otherwise, could be weaponized. It only strengthened his resolve that belief systems should be scrutinized and never blindly followed. In 1954, just 1 year before his death, Einstein wrote a letter to philosopher Eric Gutkind in which he expressed his views on religion with uncommon directness. He wrote, "The word God is for me nothing more than the expression and product of human weaknesses. The Bible is a collection of honorable, but still primitive legends." This letter, often referred to as the God Letter, was widely publicized after it was sold at auction in the 21st century. Some saw it as final proof that Einstein was an atheist. But a closer reading reveals a more complex position. Einstein dismissed traditional religious claims, yes, but he also made it clear that he did not embrace pure materialism either. He believed in something greater, but that something had to be consistent with reason and experience. Einstein once said, "I'm a deeply religious non-believer. This is a somewhat new kind of religion." In essence, Einstein believed in a spiritual dimension to life, not one tied to any organized religion, but one that emerged from the pursuit of truth, the appreciation of beauty, and the awareness of mystery. He found this spirit in both music and mathematics, in nature and in physics. Music, in particular, was one of the deepest sources of spiritual fulfillment for him. He played the violin passionately throughout his life and often said that if he hadn't become a physicist, he would have been a musician. He saw music as another way of touching the transcendent, a language of the soul beyond words and equations. After his death, many tried to interpret or even appropriate Einstein's views to fit their own narratives. Religious figures highlighted his use of the word God, while secular thinkers emphasized his critiques of religion. But neither side captured the full story. Einstein's beliefs did not fit neatly into any box. He was not conventionally religious, but he was not spiritually empty. He rejected supernaturalism, but he embraced mystery. He denied personal gods, but he revered the cosmic order. So, did Albert Einstein believe in God? It depends entirely on what we mean by God. If we mean a conscious, anthropomorphic deity, then no. If we mean a poetic metaphor for the harmony of nature, then yes, absolutely. And perhaps in this subtle middle ground, we find a model of thought that can bridge the divide between science and spirituality. In a world often divided by belief, Einstein reminds us that curiosity, wonder, and respect for the unknown may be the truest form of reverence. His legacy is not only in equations and theories, but in showing that science and the search for meaning can go hand in hand. That we can look through a telescope or into a particle accelerator and still feel something that echoes the sacred. And maybe that's the greatest lesson he left us, that the universe doesn't need to be mystical to be miraculous. It needs only to be understood with a mind open to wonder and a heart open to connection.